So I call it the crafty deceiver for pike, and I call it the relief pitcher when I fish it for muskie, because it's a very light, easy to cast fly. I run this on my Helio 6-weight when I'm in the muskie boat. It's sitting there as a light rod that I can cast this accurately, get good action out of it with a good quality saltwater rod. The 6-weight will throw it as far as you want to throw it. And it's easier on your arm throwing a 6-weight after you've been pounding the 10-weight for a couple hours with half a chicken. So this, if you have really nice quality schlappen feathers, I use 2 of them and out the back. And if I don't, if I'm using saddle feathers like this, I put 4 out the back and mix some flash in with it. And what I was doing before we started, the next thing is I used some extra large chenille, I don't even know what this stuff's called. It's called cactus hackle. So use the large cactus hackle or any of these synthetic chenilles to create a little bit of bulk in front of your feathers there. Another thing that notice here is this fluffy stuff at the base of the feather. It works really well on these flies. To make it really nice and clean, for a smaller deceiver, yeah, you wouldn't be putting the fluff in there, but for this, it actually looks good. And the longer the feather is, the more it's going to waggle in the face of the fish. So it's not a bad thing to extend it so that the fluff fills out that back quarter of the fly. And just normal chenille there, there's no rocket science involved with tying this so far. The key to doing this fly effectively starts when you have this little bit of real estate left up front. And what I'm going to do is use craft fur. I'll do a gray and white one, and I'll get all fancy and maybe put some hackle down the side of it just to make it look good. So what I'm using here is craft fur, and with the craft fur, I'm going to take a good clump, like pull it up off the hide. It's probably a wine cork size chunk that you want to cut off of here for best reference, I guess. And a lot of times you would clean all of fur out of the bottom. I'm just going to take a little bit out with my fingers to thin it out a little bit, and then I'm going to tie it forward. Actually, no, this one here, I've got enough real estate, and this is a big enough one. I'm going to switch gears. I'll show you that technique next. There's 2 ways you can tie in craft fur. The first way is the way most people are used to doing it. You tie the butts in towards the eye of the hook, and the tapered ends go to the back. And that will envelop around this chenille, and that chenille will give it some bulk. I don't have any other. And then what I'm going to do, so I can do the same thing with another clump of gray. You could put here, if you wanted a contrasting color, if I had some chartreuse or some pink, I might put that in here. But, yeah, and then I just get it in position and rotate it with my thumb around a bit. And that's tapering back over top of that chenille. That chenille is going to give it some bulk and keep it open. Because craft fur, if you don't use something to keep it open, it will collapse, and you'll just have a really skinny stick that'll wiggle. Unless you can put like half that thing of craft fur on there, and then it will not be nice to cast. And another thing you can do to bulk it up, so that's going to tie it in with the feathers, so you got a really nice taper going there. Now, here's where a lot of people struggle making these things look nice down the side of a fly, because they wait right to the very end and they try and tie it in as the last thing. You finished your fly, let's put the grizzly hackle down the side. No, 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 no. Do it one step ahead of that, and you will be a much less frustrated person with your grizzly hackle. I'm becoming a frustrated person with grizzly hackle because I did a couple of orders that required very large ones to ship down for barracuda fishing this winter. So I'm running low on good quality grizzly hackle, but these ones will work. So I've got the feather here. There's a lot of fluff at the bottom. Here's where you do pull the fluff off. But I don't trim it really close. That stem is going to allow me to extend this back. So if I trim the stem off, so I've got close to between a centimeter and an inch of stem left. And I'm going to tie that in well back on my side, and then on the side that people can see over there. So there's the grizzly hackle to tie in. It's pretty easy to do. The longer stem, you get rid of the fluff, it'll extend. You can lengthen your feather with stripping it and tying it in up front. Now I'm going to take another wine cork diameter of craft cord, take the thread up just a little bit behind the hook eye, and notice there's some fluff here. I'm going to keep using that again to prop everything up. So if I use it as filler, and then I put a 3/4 of an inch worth of thread on the hook shank, turn it over, do the same thing on top. I'm going to square it up at least. So you see there's some fluff in there, I've left this bulk in here. That's going to stop from getting a pencil thin fly. And then there's a whole bunch of thread in between there. That makes sure it's not going anywhere. And it also gives you a better opportunity to wrap it over. You can just use a technique of propping it up, but I like to go just onto the material slightly, especially when I've got something behind it to bulk it up. And then clean the head up. One whip finish is good. 2 is better. And then talk to Sally about making sure nothing ever comes undone here. If you're here earlier, you heard my theory on head cement. See there's one big 45-gallon drum comes off the truck from who knows where they produce the lacquer. They put 2 tubes in it. One goes this way and creates head cement in nice square manly bottles. The other one goes in, a tube goes this way, and they have curvy bottles that they send to Dollarama, and it's called Sally Hansen hard as nails nail polish.
You buy at the dollar store.
$2 at Dollarama for a whole bottle. If you go to Shoppers Drug Mart, it's $9 a bottle.
That's what I paid for. That's what I paid for.
I don't think there's any difference between it. It's all marketing. It's just the way the world works. So there's a fly that has not a lot to it. Nice bulk. It'll keep its profile, and this has a little bit of a pulse up front, and then the waggle of the tail out back, and there's next to no weight to it. There's one trigger mechanism that I can add to this, which I will. And eyes, if they don't help the fly perform, they certainly help it perform in the fly shop. So if I sent that fly out to a fly rack near you, it would never sell with no eyes on it. But spend an extra 30 seconds and 75 cents on eyes, and all of a sudden it just makes it light right up. Does that not add some life to that fly now that I put an eye up there? So that's a real, this one it needs time to dry, so I'm going to let it dry here. But I do have some other ones here that are finished that I can pass around if you want to see what that.
How long will that fly last for?
Depends where the fish hit it. So it could last a dozen fish, it could be done in one.